Hello and welcome to my tutorial series on Unlimiter 2.0. Today we are going to talk about scripts, what they can do, and how we can create our own. Let's start with what the script is and why would you like to add them to your track. You can think of a script as an additional piece of code that is attached to your track and executes during the play. Basically, you are building your own custom events on top of normal gameplay. Scripts are very potent and can change a lot of things. Usually they will perform special actions and alter the physics of the car. Also, they are capable of modifying the car properties such as position or map properties like visibility of the blocks or time of a day. If you work with Media Tracker, it can handle how and when the clips are displayed. What I find remarkably useful is the ability to create your own user interface. Scripts can also communicate with servers during online play, but it is outside scope of this tutorial. There are limitations to what scripts can and cannot do. We are locked to particular game mode, we cannot modify the checkpoint times or stunt scores. We also cannot modify when the track is restarted and such. These things are in competence of the server-side plugins. I also want to debunk the idea that the script is this one huge blob of code that runs in the background all the time. It's better to think of them as of small chunks of instructions that are run on certain events. For instance, when we pass the checkpoint, press the key or start the race. Okay, now a moment of truth for all non-programmers folks here. You're going to need the basics on how to code. Don't worry though, as you need very little to get started and you'll be creating your own scripts in no time. I'm not planning to do a programming course here. There are plenty of great sources on YouTube that cover this topic. Links in the description. Script use the AngelScript programming language, however it's very similar to our other popular languages, so switching over is quite straightforward. Before we start to code, please also add /console to Unlimiter arguments in mod loader when starting the game. It will add an additional window which prints out the debug messages for your scripts. A script file is basically a text file. That means the good old trusty notepad will do the job. If you want to go the easy way, it is enough. Just remember to give the file proper extension. That is removed.txt and append .tmunlimiter.as to a name. Save the file to the TrackMania/scripts directory. If you feel more fancy and want to get more assistance during writing, you can use Visual Studio Code with AngelScript Language Server plugin. A proper development environment checks the syntax and suggests possible operations on the fly. It can save you a lot of headaches when doing more complex code. That's also what I'm doing in my examples. I think we are ready. Time for our first script. And of course, as all tutorials go, we must start with the Hello World example. We have three windows here, an editor, a console, and a game. Let's start with creating our script. Let's create a file. Let's call it hello.tmunlimiter.as. And here is the starting function. It goes in every script that wants to do something with onStart. There is a documentation in the links below and you can look at this. There is thorough documentation on how all methods are and where they are triggered. So let's start with printing out the hello world. Let's do the console.info and let's type our message here. It's going to be hello world. Let's finish our statement, save the script. Now go into the game, go to this icon, select the script core, load the script. We have this hello unlimiter.as, select that. If build succeeds, we're good to go. If it doesn't, there is a compilation error here. We must fix all the issues that appear here. But now it succeeded, so we are good. Now we can close it. And we can start the race. Okay, at the console at the top we can see the hello world. Let's start it again. As you have seen, scripts are not that all difficult. However, before we go any further, we must take few things into an account. First, variable resets their value on each restart, so they do not last between runs. Also, they can be defined outside onStart method. Second, you just seen me using console object. It is global and can be accessed from anywhere in your scripts. Lastly, if any error happens during execution, the procedure is terminated, but the game continues to play and can trigger the same code again. Alright, so here in the second example, I want to show you how to work with the Unlimiter documentation in AngelScript. It's very useful to get yourself familiar with the features that Unlimiter has. The idea of the script is if you press the horn, we want to flip the gravity, and we want to switch between the normal gravity and the anti-gravity. So first idea that we need to find is how we can trigger something when we press the horn. Here we have the callbacks list. Let's scroll down. On bind input event. It looks that it's something that we're looking for. This callback is executed when player presses predefined input during the race. So it's exactly what we're looking for. Let's copy this signature and paste it here. Let's make it a function. So inside it, we have the logic when we press any input. And as we can see, some inputs can be cancelled by simply returning true. Yeah, we see this returns a Boolean value. We don't want to change the input, so we're going to return false. Okay, after that out of the way, we also know that the horn input name is with this capital letter H. We need to get it from the bind input event. Let's see this variable. Let's see what this object does. Here we have the class, and as we can see, it has property get bind name. So maybe let's filter out all inputs that are not horn. So if input event get bind name, we also have this in the hints here, is not equal to horn, return false. We just escape this function and we don't process it further. And also we have this get enabled, and also we need to do that if input event get enabled. If it's not get enabled, then also we want to return false. So inside it, here is the logic that triggers on pressing horn. Quite straightforward. So here we want to put this anti-gravity gravity switch. We think of this, okay, so we have gravity and anti-gravity. We probably need some Boolean variable for this. So let's create is gravity down equals true, because that's the initial state. And we want to flip this gravity, yes? So is gravity down equals is gravity down. So if the gravity is down, it's going to be not down, and if it's not down, then it's going to be down. Quite straightforward. Okay, now the quite rough idea of looking at this, how we can switch the gravity in the engine, but let's just look for the word gravity. Gravity. And we're going to have several places in the document that has gravity reference, and it looks like it's here. So what we need to do is to use this object TrackMania race. Fortunately, this object TrackMania race is already here, so we can just use it and get the function set gravity force. So let's go here, type race dot set gravity force, and what it takes is the vector 3. It's this vec3. So let's look up this object. Let's see what the vec3 is, and here we have the documentation of the vec3, and it turns out that vec3 is just set of free floats x, y, and z, and it can be created this way. So let's create, so we need to create a vec3 object, so let's do it. Vec3 gravity down vector equals vec3, and let's just paste this x, y, and z values. So for x we don't have any force in this direction. For y, let's do it negative g, and in z-axis nothing. And let's create another gravity up vector is going to be equal to vec3, this time the positive, because we want to go upward, and like this. So we can select gravity vector. So maybe if gravity is down, then we want to set this to a downward gravity. But if it's not, then raise set gravity force gravity up vector. And that's basically it. Let's test it in the game. Okay, so back in the editor, you know the drill. We select the core module, we load the script file. Yeah, the editor helped us here with highlighting the syntax. We have no syntax errors, the builds have succeeded. We click OK, we close the prompt, and we test the track, of course. So let's see. So now let's press a horn. Press it again. Oh, it works. Splendid. So far we've been using only the core module. It is the basic module that controls all the major events happening on the track, like start, pressing keys, or communicating with the server. If you have triggers, it is a good idea to create additional modules, so logic is separated. It is even more useful if you have multiple trigger groups, each with its own logic. Custom modules cannot have global control events. However, core module can have trigger logic too. Okay, so for the next example, I've prepared this small stunt track. The idea of it is we have those trigger zones that should score us points. The finish is here, but it will not react on car passing through it. So as you can see, we can go through this, and we do not finish the track. Also, we have a global media tracker clip here with number of points, just simple text. What's worth noting, it's the first track and first block. That is going to be important in the script. So if you want to add this as a module, first we should go here and add a script and name the module, like for instance score point. We load the script. It's okay. Also, the triggers have been added to the score point trigger group. So we should go to this trigger group, and on enter select a script score point. So we're selecting a module and not a core. We close that, and now we should be able to count those points. So if we go through this zone, it should count towards it. Let's try it again. A different path, for instance here. It counts. We have 3 points. And on 5 rings we finish this track. Okay, so also let's take a look at the logic of the script. As you've seen, it's being triggered on enter. So we're using onTriggerGroupEnter function. What we have here is this counter with points. When we enter the zone, we increase the number of points, and we have more or equal points to 5. We basically want to finish the race. Also, what we do, we go into this media tracker clip. So this line is equal to global clip. We enter this global clip, and as we said, it's the first track and first block. As numbers are indexed from 0, it's basically telling us the first track and the first block. And we set this value to this text below. On how this finish is triggered, we have the function findFinish block. Basically, we scan through all the blocks in the challenge, and if it's equal to waypoint type finish, which basically only finished blocks will have, it will return this block, and then we trigger this waypoint block. So you've made to the end of this tutorial. As a closing thought, I would like to point out to the few resources. First is this GitHub Unlimiter documentations that we are using in the second example. It's very useful. Second is AngelScript documentation if you really want to dive deep into the AngelScript itself. And of course, I invite you to the Unlimiter Discord, where there is also a tab for scripts when people can share their creations or ask questions about it. So on that note, thank you very much for listening and watching, and see you next time.